Hello world, my name is Amelia, and welcome back to another one of my update videos. So it's actually been a good hot minute since I last posted a video. As many of you know, this pandemic has been going quite crazy lately, and things are crazy. I'm sure this has been difficult for everybody, not just transgender people like myself, where we have to deal not only with the stress of our society, but trust me when I say that mentally this does not really help in our situation. But enough of that, I digress. So I haven't made an update video in a while. I just figured it was about time that I finally did one. I'm sure I come to you probably not in my best appearance as far as this goes. I haven't been able to get my normal routines through, I've been getting laser for my face for like over the past year, and I've actually started shying away from cameras and actually having kind of a bit of a hard time posting videos because it got to the point where I haven't had laser in so long that I'm starting to get a lot of really bad shadow no matter what amount of shaving I do. I'm almost back to daily shaving these mustache areas, and I know now that I point them out, you're probably looking at them and going, oh my gosh, she has quite the mustache. Point is, it was one of the reasons why I have been afraid to post and do anything, because I am so self-conscious about that area of my face. So here I am, just finally just having to give in. Hopefully I'll be able to go to my laser session next month. Anyways, point is, one of the last things that I posted in regards to my update was about my surgery date. I was supposed to go in to get I had been waiting for an appointment for bottom surgery for couple months, and then I had finally gotten one for April 22nd. I remember in my last video I had posted about how it was going to happen and all of the details about it. I don't quite remember the things I said, but I definitely don't want to repeat them. But as anyone can guess, based on the fact that I'm mentioning this, the surgery was postponed, as many had told me it probably would have been. It got postponed, sadly, because finally KU Med just sat there and said, sorry, we're not letting you do any elective surgeries, which of course is really sad. You wouldn't believe the number of people who sat there and told me I should be grateful that I'm not in the hospital in the middle of this pandemic. But of course, I argue, well, number one, I only need to be in the hospital for 2 days. And number two, the hospital is not going to intentionally expose me to somebody who tested positive for the virus. And thank you again, cell phone, for interrupting. Really hate it when it does that. And of course, that's something else. Just quick mention. My dumb cell phone's touchscreen went out again. It's like my 4th cell phone I've bought in 6 months. What the frick is wrong with my phones? Anyways... I went all of April. They canceled about a week prior to my surgery, told me that they were postponing. I went most of this month without knowing, and then finally they called me about 2 days ago and told me they had a new surgery date. That the new surgery date was set for July 28th, and she also had informed me on the phone that if I was not able to do it on July 28th, they didn't even think they were going to be able to get me in this year. Originally, from what I understand, one of their surgeons was actually going to be out of town for the month of July, but if they're actually squeezing me in for July, then that just tells me that he must have decided to postpone his vacation, which it really makes me feel like they really do honestly care if they were going to go that far to do that. Anyways, I don't even know what the quality of this video is going to be in the end, because again, like, my computer has been on the fritz, cell phone's on the fritz, all this other fun stuff that's just been going on in my life, and I haven't even been able to post my regular IPSY videos. Like, for example, I I was going to post this video, this bag. I had started to record a video with it with my roommate. It was going all good and then everything. And then we got to the bottom of the bag and then found out that they had shorted me 2 items. And then to make matters worse, I sat there was like, okay. And I messaged them and they made this comment to me about how, oh, okay, we're going to make up for that. We'll send you a whole, like, literally the description that the person from their support sent me was like, oh yeah, we're going to send you a whole new bag. And I was like, oh, okay, that's great. And I took what I had. I assumed it was going to be a new bag. And I took what was in that bag and I just gave it to my roommate. I was like, here, I guess you can have the bag. And you know, I was just like, I don't need it if they're going to send me a new bag. And then of course it took like 3 weeks for a replacement to show up. And then when the replacement showed up, it didn't even have a bag in it. All it was the 2 items I was shorted. Honestly, I think that was kind of a disappointment in IPSY, because personally I'm like, if you're going to ship me a whole new bag because of your shortage, you should actually send me a whole new bag, not because you screwed up. I'm sorry, that's how it works. Anyways, point is, I have the second month, I have the month of May's bag right here. And, well, let's just say I'm kind of behind on that. Hopefully I'll do a separate video or something like that, allowing me to jump into that. Work situation has been difficult. I do have to say I am very grateful for my job, which, as some of you know, I work for Lowe's. My job has actually done some pretty nice things for its employees. One of the very first things that happened back in March when this whole thing started, they gave everyone a $300 bonus. And then for the month of April, they had given everyone a temporary pay increase of $2 an hour, which was really nice. It was a really great way of making up your pay. I think kind of over the pace of it, we kind of got a little extra. But then it sounds like they've basically decided to go back to the $300 bonuses, because for this month of May, they didn't do them. They did another $300 bonus, which is really great. And then we're supposed to be set to get another $300 bonus in 2 weeks. I do have to say, from what I've been hearing about people going to other companies outside of my work, that this is actually kind of rare. Not many corporations are actually giving to their employees. I mean, not to mention, it's not just once, but it's literally multiple payments. The work situation is not any less stressful than anywhere else. Matter of fact, it's probably even harder, being the fact that we are in the middle of our busy season with being a hardware store where we are essential. And we get a lot of customers coming in and constantly with entitled attitudes wanting their paint and their mulch. It's a very difficult thing as an employee to deal with. I myself was actually, this was one thing I didn't mention on video, I was actually doing very difficult. I was doing very poorly mentally. It was just, again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this whole pandemic has been very tough on transgender people like myself. And I finally just decided enough was enough. I was trying to get, something from my therapist, which he refused to do, which I honestly think was kind of ridiculous. Ultimately, I asked for some concessions from my job, and they took me out of customer service, and I asked that they temporarily put me on a duty where I didn't have to deal with customers. So literally, I get to go out on the sales floor and pull internet orders. The only time I have to really interact with customers is making phone calls, or if somebody recognizes me, which has actually been fairly common, to say the least. So anyways, hopefully that gives you kind of a quick preview of the madness going on in my life. My life, it's been real difficult. I have two months to my new surgery date. I can't even begin to describe how nervous and nervous-sighted, as Pinkie Pie from MLP likes to say. She's like, I'm so nervous-sighted! Because that's exactly what this is. I am very, very, very excited to be able to finally go in and get my surgery that I've wanted basically my whole life. But at the same time, it's a very nervous thing. I mean, I can't, anybody who's watching this who's not transgender, it can be very difficult. Because, like, before, like, when it comes to gender dysphoria, I can try to give analogies, like, oh yeah, the glove doesn't fit. That's one way of describing things. But I guess when it comes to something, when it comes to your genitalia, it's very difficult. Yes, it's part of gender dysphoria, but I think it just becomes very difficult how to frame that up into a way of how it feels. Because it's something that gives me constant gender dysphoria. It's my number one triggering point right now, and I can't even imagine, based on the stories I've heard from transgender people who are post-op, what it feels like afterwards. I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds so amazing, but I have no reference for it. I have absolutely no reference for what that's going to feel like, what that's going to be like. But there's that part of me that's just like, don't worry, Amelia, it's going to be good. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be happy. But it's difficult nonetheless to be like, this thing that has been a part of me my entire life is going to go away. Matter of fact, it's kind of been easier not to think about it as them cutting it off, but more in the aspects of them just rearranging it, which has actually made it a little easier for me to, makes it a little more palatable for me to think about. It's more of a rearrangement than cutting it off. Still difficult nonetheless, but I can't tell you how happy I am that it's literally just someone else doing the work, because I think I kind of, because I had obviously years and years ago, I had some phases where I had some difficulty. I was doing some not so great things down there, and the fact that it was so difficult for me, I only did that stuff in my worst moments, my most deepest of gender dysphoria moments, makes me really hard to think if I was doing the surgery to myself, I couldn't do it. I absolutely could not trust myself to do it. That's why it does make me happy that I'm putting my trust. Anyways, point is, I will see you all next time. Don't forget to subscribe. See you all later. Bye.